It is another wonderful time on television. May I say good afternoon to you. You're welcome to the program Africa Discourse on independent television. My name is Evans Unokuge. It was exactly 7 days ago. That's about last week, Monday, when we came here. And of course, we talked about election in Liberia. Last week, Monday, it was about 24 hours to the election, bearing in mind that the election actually was last week, Tuesday. And of course, we made a lot of postulations here. And of course, we also asked the question, what opportunity and of course, what chance does the incumbent president in Liberia, George Weah, stands? And we also talked about a whole lot of things that ordinarily may work against him, issues that have to do with corruption, and of course, issues that have to do with the way George Weah has not been able to uplift Liberia from squalor, you may want to say. And of course, we also postulated some things that may work for him too. You know, somebody that also came up from the very dungeon, that ordinarily that may just, be some sentimental way of looking at it, that people may act on that sentiment and of course vote for him. Well, that election has been done as we speak now. The results of Liberia's election is being collated at the moment in Monrovia. And two persons stand neck to neck, talking about the incumbent president of Liberia, George Weah, and of course his closest rival, Joseph Boakai, who is popularly known as Sleeping Joe. Well, he was one-time vice president of Liberia, and we understand that he's giving George Weah a very tough time as far as that's the election is concerned. Anyway, let's quickly see some of the major headlines that we are following at this time on the program, because what we do here is to ensure that we give you latest headlines on the program Africa Discourse. And the very first headline that we have this afternoon, we have 4 children killed in Burundi when church hall collapses. Big headline there that we are following now. And we also have the headline that reads that 6 months into war, Sudanese seek refuge outside chaotic capital. You get a copy. You can Google that so that you can read that as you get along. Then also we have a top headline that South Africa recalls peacekeepers accused of sexual abuse in DRC. That's the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's picture 3 now. Okay, for picture 2, we have 6 months into. Okay, for picture 3, let's go back to picture. This is picture 3 now. For picture 3, South Africa recalls peacekeepers accused of sexual abuse in DRC. Why for picture 4? That's headline 4 now. That has to do with Nigeria, where we have the picture of the president of Nigeria, talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nigeria's president asks courts to dismiss fresh claims by opposition party. That has to do with the inting in the country now, talking about the alleged Chicago resort saga. So you can get that as you get along. Nigeria's president asks court to dismiss fresh claims by opposition party. Big headline on our major platforms as you get along. Then for picture 5, headline 5, we have Niger junta orders a top UN official to leave the country. All right, so Niger junta orders top UN official to leave the country. And for picture 6, that has to do with the major issue that we're going to be looking at today, the election in Liberia, where we have Liberia election. Early results swing for Boakai ahead of George Weah. So we do not know if at the end of the day, if Joseph Boakai will clinch the victory at the expense of the incumbent president George Weah. Now for Liberia election, I think I was just telling one of my guests backstage here that it appears they take over from their colonial masters. For the United States of America, after the main election has been done, the country now has to go through some form of electoral college. It is that electoral college now that now decides who now become the president. They also do their own voting there, and they collate their results there. And of course, it is the electoral college that decides who be the president in the U.S. But in Liberia, similar to it now, they go by percentage now. So as it stands now, we understand that the two contenders, Judge Weah and Joseph Boakai, are neck to neck. It's said to be 43 to 42. Joseph Boakai on the lead by 43%, while Judge Weah is somewhere around 42%. So the thing is that who gets 50% of the entire result of the election becomes the president of Liberia. So the big question is, how can Judge Weah get that? In the face of corruption charges here and there, in the face of abject poverty that has riddled Liberia for the past few years now, the past 4 years that Judge Weah has been the president. Liberia, you know, the country that has been through two civil wars, 1989 and of course sometime around 2003. All these are issues that we decide what becomes of the election. Well, to look at all this this afternoon, we're still privileged to have two gentlemen here. We have from the Electoral, University of Benin, my big brother friend, talking about Neville Obahedo, a lecturer with the Department of Post Science, University of Benin. So you're welcome to the program Africa Discourse.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, viewers and listeners at home.
And also to have the serial author, the much acclaimed Nwita Egbotaku, yes, conflict resolution expert. So you're welcome to this program Africa Discourse.
Good afternoon, viewers. Okay. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
All right. So, gentlemen, we'll just start with Neville Obahedo, Liberia, as we speak now. Now, we have some videos now, so let's quickly begin to roll those videos that has to do with the ongoing counting of the results in Liberia. Let's see. So, Neville Obahedo, as we speak now, the country is collating the results, putting results together to see who becomes the next president in Liberia. Neville Obahedo.
Well, I salute the courage of the people of Liberia in the first instance for putting an end to the brutal, fratricide and genocidal civil war that ended in 2003. And this election, 2023 election, is the fourth election, post-war election in Liberia. The first two were for Madam Johnson Sirleaf, Sirleaf.
Yeah.
The first two. The third one in 2017 brought incumbent President George Weah to power. And now, based on their constitutional arrangement and their electoral law, they have another election after 6 years. This is not the only country in Africa that is having an election. We have several other countries. In neighboring countries, they alone have conducted their election this year. Even Nigeria has also conducted their election this year. There are other countries that will still conduct the election, like Somalia and some other countries. The issue is, if election is conducted, what follows? What follows after every election is the fulfillment of electoral promises. In 2017, George Weah, incumbent president, promised the people of Liberia that was going to fight corruption. He was going to invest more in education. He was going to revive the economy. And he was going to ensure that poverty was reduced to the barest minimum. Himself being a product of poverty or a poverty-stricken environment, as somebody who grew up in one of the slummy areas in Morovia. 6 years down the line, the people are about to pass judgment on him based on the facts on ground that he did not live up to he did not fulfill the electoral promises he made to the people. One very contentious issue in Liberia as we speak is the issue of drugs. Liberia is almost turning to Mexico, Colombia, and some other Latin American countries where there are drug barons and drug gangs that compete for space in Liberia. The 2023 election is an opportunity for the Liberian people to decide who will help them to fight the drug war. 2023 election again brought back the issue of post-war reconstruction, state reconstruction, which have to do with reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of destroyed environments. As we speak, the people of Liberia from various ethnic groups are still yearning for an establishment of a court that will ban certain politicians who participated in the civil war from occupying elected positions and political positions. Number two, the court, which the National Reconciliation Committee recommended, was that there should be a court, a war crime court, that will bring perpetrators of war crime to justice. A judge upon Weah free to do so. Joseph Boakai and some other candidates in the election, about 19 of them, some of them, they are throwing their weight behind the court and national reconciliation and state reconstruction. Then we have the issue of the economic malaise. Even though the people of Liberia, they are saying that they know that there is the effect of COVID-19 and some other effect like the Russian, yes, the Ebola crisis and the Russian war on Ukraine. They still believe that Judge Oponweah would have done more for the country, to liberate the country from the shackles of poverty.
Okay. Let me pause you so that I bring Nowita Igbotsako. We're looking at the power of incumbency here. And of course, a group of persons, perhaps Liberians that are totally dissatisfied with the last 4 years of George Weah.
Well, I want to say quickly that President George Oponweah is a disappointment, so to say. It's a disappointment because so much hope was heaped on him in 2017 when he emerged, you know. I recollect that he was quite very popular, and you know, he was a soccer superstar, known, you know, all over the world, and he was a tonic. This is what tonic for the youth, for the younger generations in 2017. Those are the things that he had going for him, that enabled him to emerge. And you will recollect that he had it very tough with the first president, Dr. Helen Shalif. It was the argument that he would have even got the presidency before that great woman. But now, about 6 years after 2017, it is a tragedy that George Oponweah could not do what he had promised his people. For instance, he said we're going to fight corruption, but principal elements in his administration, they were neck deep in corruption. And as the president of Liberia, he did not do the needful to sanitize the process, to make sure that these guys were brought to justice. So, and the people are still disillusioned, you know, after going through 14 years of fratricidal war. They're still disillusioned. They are yet to see, you know, uhuru, economic freedom, socio-economic, and other, you know. They are not happy. And that is why we are seeing the result now going on. He's struggling with Joseph Boakai, so to say.
Sleeping Joe, that's what they call him.
A veteran politician who has been there, who knows the politics there. So if George Oponweah, you know, is a darling, or remains a darling of Liberian people, he would not have been in this situation. Would have been see 50% 30 or thereabout for Joseph Boakai. But the neck situation is telling all of us that the man is no longer popular. The man has faded. His magic has turned to dust, so to say. So it's a challenge to African leaders that once you promise the people, ensure you deliver democratic dividends. You know, he did a little thing, he bid roads, he tried to put ICT materials, you know, into Liberia, but he did not do a very drastic, you know, developmental, something. We didn't see any drastic developmental, components that he put in place in Liberia. In 6 years, for me, it's a failure. I see a miracle. I see a miracle bringing back General Weah to the State House.
Okay. All right, sir, Neville Obakedo. Judge Weah introduced free education in Liberia, and of course, we also, read that what he introduced in the health sector was a total departure, from where Salif left it now. That he introduced a lot of innovations in the health sector in Liberia and all that, to the extent that it was almost a free health, system in Liberia. Now, how come all these are not counting for him now? What is going on? I mean, free education, free health care delivery and all that, services and all that.
You see, what we have discovered in democratic processes is that people are impatient. Our people are impatient in trying to help to manage freedom of choice, and to help to plan development. Now, there's no meaningful development that can take place without a foundation on education. And if, as a president, who wants the people to be free from the shackles with which they have been manacled, as a matter of fact, it's as a result of lack of education that made the people of Liberia, like the people of Rwanda, to go to civil war for the second time. What came out of the war?
Nothing.
Death, destruction.
Nothing.
And they later came to the table
to negotiate.
To negotiate and to
Make
resolve their
peace.
crisis. If there were to be education, or if the leaders were to have acquired the necessary education that they need to bring leadership finesse to lead the country, those civil war will not have cropped up. But the rest is history. Now, you know that in every democratic period, the opposition would like to look at the loophole of the incumbent administration and cash in on that to say, oh, this man promised this. He was not able to do it, so I will do it when I enter there. Was
it that there was actually no free education?
No, I'm not saying that there's no free education. I'm just saying that the man brought free education. We have heard about it. And the people of Liberia are enjoying their free education. Now, the man himself, even in the area of corruption, certain principal officers in his government that were indicted by the United States agency. The man fired them, chief of staff and one other person like that. Now, you know that when a man becomes a president, a man becomes a governor, a man occupies a position where there will be influence from within and without. It will now, the only terminology you can use to qualify it is this pidgin English saying that who no go, no no. By the time you are sitting on the office on the seat of the president, you will know the influence from within and without. It is only what is his name? Judge Weah, and maybe the members of his inner cabinet that may know why the man is not able to fight the drug war in the country.
Yeah, but we're talking about leadership here. I mean, leadership is key.
Yes, when you talk about leadership is key. We talk about, let's take, for instance, Nigeria, for instance. Before a man becomes president, in Nigeria. The man will campaign in all the 36 states, including the federal capital. Some of the people that are political leaders in some of the senatorial districts or in some of the states that may want to campaign for the president, in this case now, President Tinubu, in the previous case, Buhari, in the previous case, Goodluck Jonathan. Those who may campaign, who are the big wigs, who can sway vote in favor of the president, may be those who have been accused of corruption, who are facing corruption charges. The president that want them to, the presidential candidate that want such people to help him to win, will not be talking of how to prosecute them. If they actually help him to win the election, he will not prosecute them. Even if the case is already going on, it will help them to put machinery in motion to delay their trial so that they can help him and also benefit from his country.
Okay.
This is what is happening in Liberia as we speak. So when you talk about the economy, three things are responsible for the crisis of the economy that the Liberian economy is facing. And this is beyond the powers of George Weah. If any other person is promising them heaven and earth, the person may not be able to give them a grain of sand by the time the person becomes the president of Liberia. In this case, Joseph Boakai. Now, we have talked about Ebola as having a devastating effect on Liberia. We have talked about COVID-19 as having a devastating effect on Liberia.
Yeah.
And we are talking about the Ukraine, the Russian war on Ukraine as having effect on Liberia. It means that right from the period of the civil war till now, the economy of Liberia has not been able to pick up. So, believing that a man made a statement during a political campaign that if I become president, I will make sure that the problem of economy that we are facing is resolved. That's a political statement.
But from what we are hearing now, the results are almost hitting to us there.
Yeah, so if the people now say, okay, this man promised us heaven and earth, he was not able to give us a grain of sand. Even they brought free health facility, free health care, he brought free education, because he was not able to fight drug war, he was not able to fight corruption, he was not able to revive the economy and put the economy on the right path to development. The man should not be president. They bring Joseph Boakai. And in any case, there's no person who leads in an election in Liberia and becomes a sole party in power.
Okay.
Because of the way their political parties are arranged, they always have what we call coalition government. Okay.
Let's go back to our visuals now. We have two videos that we also made. One that has to do with the electoral body, an official, that's the lady now. Let's hear from her. Then also, she's an observer, I beg your pardon, one of the observers in Liberia. Let's hear what she said. Then we'll also take the one that has to do with the NEC official. That's the National Electoral Commission body in Liberia, what he also said too. Let's see the one for the lady first.
When you have candidates come out to announce their own results, I think that is troubling. And this is why we say this should be considered as fake news. Only when the National Elections Commission announces a result can those results be the actual results.
Here we electronically tabulate the results. So yesterday elections were conducted, counting went on, and those results were pasted on the wall. Copies of those results are then brought to the tally center and they are entered into the results tally software. Before we do that, we make photocopies, we give to all the observers and party agents present.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Now, the first lady we saw, she's one of the observers of the election, and what she simply said is that this idea of making hasty results, just as what some people are saying that Joseph Boakai has won. Now, the results are still being collated, so let us wait until NEC, that's the National Electoral Commission in Liberia, comes up to tell us who actually win the results. So we cannot say that Joseph Boakai has won. That's what she said. Then the guy who is the NEC official also said, he talked about the way they are going to be transmitting their results. That after the election was done, results were pasted on wall centers, and from there is going to be transferred electronically. Let me emphasize that word now, electronically to a portal. And of course, from there, That's where the result is going to be announced. I know which I able to tackle. Let me bring you in now. We are looking at two scenarios now with what just transpired in Nigeria. Results, said to be transferred electronically is still an issue. But in Liberia, the result is going to be transferred electronically. You want to pick it up from there?
Well, yeah. It's a big plus for the Liberians that there is a level of transparency in the electoral process. Because you agree with me that the results is being transmitted electronically. That means that there is element of, free and fair election. You understand? That because the people, their will is being transmitted almost immediately. And so there will be no room for manipulations. But I think Nigerian National Independent National Electoral Commission, Nigeria, INEC, has a lesson to learn from this. Because what we had in February was a...
Yeah, but let us be careful with that now, because
in February, the INEC told Nigerians that they were going to transmit the result electronically, but it never happened.
On the event.
So it was a stab on Nigeria, on the back of the Nigerian electorate. Nigerian electorate were deceived. Nigerian electorate were bamboozled. The wishes and aspirations of the Nigerian electorate were put aside. So it is a plus to the Liberian people.
Yeah.
That results is being transmitted electronically.
Okay. All right. So we'll quickly take a short pause now, which I beg your pardon. I'll come back to you after this time out. Don't forget the program is Africa Discourse on Independent Television. We're looking at the post-Liberia's election, whereby we know that results are being collated in Liberia as we speak now. We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay tuned. All right, thank you so much. The program still Africa Discourse on Independent Television. Now, I'll just go straight to which I would tackle. We're trying to compare two scenarios: Nigeria, INEC transfer results electronically, and of course, not being able to do that, just like what you were trying to say. But unlike what is going on in Liberia at the moment, I'll pick it up from there.
Yes, it is very clear that the results of the election in Liberia is free and fair. The process so far is free and fair, because we can see it manifesting in the result timeline. In the result timeline, see George Weah. She's struggling with just Boakai or Boakai, whatever his name.
Yeah.
You can see the tally. That shows that it is transparent that the wishes and aspirations of the Liberian people, it's been expressed. It is clear. For me, if a George Weah is manipulating the process, or has been able to manipulate the process, George Weah would have been somewhere 60% or something now. Given the reality that we see in African politics, given the reality what we saw in Nigeria in February 2020 presidential elections, a lot of anomalies, a lot of riggings, a lot of manipulations. The INEC promised Nigerians that are going to transmit a result electronically, and the vow, it was even like a vow. The INEC chairman and his top echelons, officials of INEC, they vow on tape. But on election day, something that happened. So we should give it to Liberia in all of this. I think it's a fantastic development. We should go to Liberia. The National Electoral Commission of Liberia is giving Liberian people what they want. And that is it. And the way I see it, if the incumbent John Weah may not even return. Because the people are impatient. When my colleague was talking about, the people, they are hasty. They want to see results in 6 years. It's just 6 years now, 2017. But given the fact that Liberia went through horror, 14 years of bloodbaths, fountain of blood was, the country was awash with bloodshed. 14 years. And how many years post-war? We can say, okay, 6 years not enough for George Weah, for instance. But George Weah that know the challenge in Liberia should have, you know, live up to expectation. This is George Weah that left the country for about 2 months doing what abroad. 2 months. He left for this football tournament somewhere in Europe or thereabout. With his son, he led the nitty-gritty of governance, a president of a country, as tough as economic situations, as tough of challenges, drug and all sort of challenges in Liberia. You left your country for 2 months. What were you doing abroad? If upon where is really,
we just go on here.
If upon where is really, really concerned and sensitive to the wish and aspirations of the Liberian people, he will not stay outside Liberia for so long. So it showed that he was not too, he was not too fantastic in the last 6 years. Okay. We give it to him that he did something in the educational sector, he did that, but he has not met the expectation of the Liberian people. That's what we are seeing.
Okay.
In the election.
All right. So, you were trying to expatiate something earlier on that for the fact that I know you were referring to Boakai Joseph. You know, for the fact that he said that he's going to bring what Judge Weah could not do, bring it into power, and when he becomes the president, bring it into bear. That's the reason why Liberians are probably voting for him now. Now, I wanted to expatiate on that more. What do you expect Liberians to do? To still go over to a government that maybe has failed them for the past 6 years? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, Neville.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Before I talk about returning George Weah to power, my co-discussant said certain things about Nigeria election 2023. And this is a world television program the whole world is watching.
Yeah.
And because of that, I need to say certain things. The electoral law, the electoral process is guided by rules. And the rule says that there will be political parties will call for
elections.
They will do their primaries, election will be fixed, and so on. Then after election, issues of pre-election, where they will be taken to, issue of election day and post-election, where they will be taken to. That is to say, there is what we call the formulation of the policy, the implementation of the policy, and adjudication of the policy, which is electoral policy. Now, Nigeria should not allow any person that is occupying a political position to promise them heaven and earth outside of the law, because we have the Constitution that made provision for the electoral process. We have the Electoral Act that made provision for the electoral process. The issue of electronic transfer of results, whether INEC chairman said it, whether a presidential candidate said it, is it in line with the provisions of the law? If it is not in line with the provisions of the law, any person is making the statement, is just making the statement.
Yeah,
because by the time the matter is before court, the court will normally go back to the law and use the law to check whether the statement that was made by either INEC chairman or anybody, whether it's in line with the law.
Nevi, before we say that now, the question we ask ourselves, why did the National Assembly approve that? I remember the Electoral Act. Why did the president in the second stand, why did he approve it? I mean, all these issues, they went through the National Assembly, and of course, the presidential accent was on it.
The reason why I made reference to it, the way my co-discussor was talking about the election was this, the election was that. Now that the matter is before court, the first hurdle has been crossed. The matter is now before the Supreme Court. A matter that is before court is even sub judice for anybody to be discussing it, because it is the facts of the case in line with the law, in line with the act that we put before court.
Yeah, I understand what
After
you're saying.
that judgment, we cannot come and begin to do the analysis.
Anyway,
some of us are not even laymen. We have read the Electoral Act.
Yeah.
It is there in the Electoral Act. So
by the way,
there is provision for electronic transfer of results.
Okay,
it's there.
Back to the question that I'm asking now.
The question that you're asking is the question about whether the Liberian people would like to return George Weah, despite his perceived failure.
Yes.
That will be left for the people of Liberia to decide. because I'm not a Liberian and I'm not a Liberian.
But a while ago, you were trying to make a case.
No, I'm not making a case. I'm just saying that for them to hastily ask him to leave because he has failed them in 6 years.
Yeah, what do you expect them? What do you have expected them to do?
What I would have expected them to do, number one, is to see whether the internal factors of the country were responsible for his failure and call for a collapsing of those factors.
Yeah, we're talking about a people that the only avenue they can ask these questions is perhaps through elections.
People,
it's through elections.
It's just that it's unfortunate that in Africa, our leaders don't create opportunity for people to engage them. And the media too have begun to the extent that the media do not set agenda for those in government, and they don't ask them questions about their political promises, and to see you put their electoral promises down and begin to match them with performance. You say we're going to do roads. Which roads have you done? So we're going to bring education, free education. Where is the free education? You say we're going to fight corruption. This corruption, this corruption, this corruption. Show us where you have fought the corruption, and so on and so forth. We don't do it in Africa. Unless we do that in Africa, we cannot actually take any government to task. We can only take government to task. On election day, because election is local, every person retires to their polling unit. What now happens is what made the crafters of Nigeria law to say that there's what we call, even though they don't use the word vote marketing, they will say vote buying. But they don't use to say vote selling, because it is the desire to sell that will give birth to the desire to buy. So the politicians who have money, they are aware that Nigerians are willing to sell their vote. So the crafter of the law, of the Electoral Act, that talk about vote buying, should have just put it there as a subheading: vote merchandising or vote marketing. Okay. Where those who are selling and those who are buying, they are caught in the same way.
Okay. Now, which I want you to respond. Respond to some of the things he said. Trying to make a case for Judge Weah.
Well, Judge Weah, as I said earlier, is facing, is in a tight corner because he has not demonstrated, fantastic leadership. He has demonstrated some leadership traits, but not fantastic. Because, as I said, Liberians they went through 14 years of civil war. So, a country that's coming out of civil war, what do you expect? The country must have been in ruins.
2 times.
2 times.
Yeah.
Remember Samuel Doe, the madness of Samuel Doe, and the other Johnson brothers and the rest. They turned the fortune of Liberia upside down. Liberia went to ashes. So, too much expectation on Judge Weah to perform. If Judge Weah was sensitive, I said some few minutes ago, how would a president leave his country for almost 2 months?
Yeah, but
what is he going to do?
You said that.
What kind of economy? He went on a jamboree.
To Judge Weah. I mean, we've had other countries that the president left for more than 3 months. Have we not had a country on the continent of Africa?
Well, is that a good thing for Africa?
No, it's not. It's not. So it's not.
Well, now he's paying. It's payback time. I'm sure you will have learned his lesson.
Yeah, anyway, there is less wait.
Absentee president.
We don't know yet. Let's wait.
So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
If you're hearing us now, I'm sure if he wins election, which I doubt.
Okay. Because
the tally, though the law says 50%, in Liberia, but both of them may not get the 50%. I see a rerun on November 17. I see a rerun. So, and it's a challenge to political leaders in Africa.
Yeah.
To always be sensitive, to always be pro-people. Be sensitive to what you say during the electoral process. Okay. Because there will be a day of reckoning. This is a day of reckoning in Liberia.
All right. Now, let's look at it now. Are there lessons that we can really learn, comparing to Nigeria perhaps to Liberia, and comparing Liberia to Nigeria or vice versa? Elections, in our general elections, presidential elections, are there lessons we can pull out?
The first thing that we need to understand is that constitutions of nation states specify the period that they are going to vote. Nigeria is 4 years, Liberia is 6 years. That period is a period that the people who are in position of authority need to ensure that their electoral promises are fulfilled. In the first instance, we are aware that most African countries and other less developed countries or developing countries, the economy is dependent on the economy of the advanced West. And a man becomes president, he needs to plan development and be development oriented, development administration oriented, to the extent that everything that needs to bring better life for the people, the government will plan it. Planning it will not mean just sitting down at the Federal Capital Territory and planning it or at Monrovia, the capital of Liberia. But you need to sample opinion from people across the country. Like in Nigeria, we have 6 geopolitical zones. Ask them questions about how they feel that life can be more meaningful and more better for them through the provision of good governance.
Okay. All right. So, Butako, quickly, what are the lessons that we can pull out from the two scenarios now, Liberia's election and perhaps from the election we had in Nigeria sometime in February this year?
Well, the lesson is, very clear. In Liberia, the National Electoral Commission in Liberia is living to expectation. They promised the people that they were going to follow the electoral act to the letter, and that's what we are seeing. Unlike in Nigeria in February, where the thing was black and white in the electoral law, that result will be transmitted, and raised so much so for Nigerians. But on election day, something that happened.
No, but don't you think it is the courts that will decide that now?
See, given the Nigerian situation, constitutional provisions have been bastardized, so to say. Constitutional provisions, even in black and white. I hear an American commentator recently, he said if Tinubu were to be, for instance, President Tinubu, the case of Chicago, Tinubu Gate, we are supposed to be somewhere in other climes, that the man will have left the scene, will have resigned.
Yeah,
when Nigeria, the Supreme Court and the judicial system is compromised. That's the fact of the matter. We are not illiterate. We went to school.
The Supreme Court has not even said anything about Tinubu's Chicago.
Because it is there.
Chicago's issue now. So why don't we?
We will soon get there. But what we have seen from the presidential election tribunal is an eye opener. Even today, even some few hours ago, even the President Tinubu was telling the Supreme Court to throw away whatever has to do with Chicago, whatever.
I was telling Supreme Court, that is the paper that he has filed before the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court. And that's it now. That the Supreme Court should throw that document away. Something that has to do with the sensibility of Nigerians. 200 million Nigerians. Nigerians are going through hell. Nigerians cannot buy petrol. Nigerians cannot food their car. You see hyperinflationary trends.
Nigerians are not going through hell.
Most Nigerians.
Most
Nigerians are impoverished. Many people cannot ride their cars. For the first time in Nigerian history, a dollar has gone up to 100,000. Sorry, you look at the exchange rate.
Almost 1,000 naira.
I went to chase some money the other day. 1,000 and some fraction. It has never happened in Nigerian history. Okay. Now, what are we saying? If we have good governance, so Nigerians are not happy with what is happening. Okay, Nigerians are agitated. Okay. Nigerians are concerned. Nigerians are not happy with Tinubu Gate. Okay. For me, President Tinubu should have resigned.
Anyway, that's your
by now.
About it now.
That is the fact of the matter.
The emotional
this is not emotional.
A matter that is before court. The court used fast. And the presidential election matter is a special matter before the Court of Appeal.
What is the facts now that Chicago has not released their findings?
No,
is
that not that one. When I say a court work with facts, a man may have committed an offense, for instance.
Yeah.
But the processes that you bring the man to justice there's what we call procedural law. In this case, if a matter that you are raising what they call suo motu in law, you take appeal, a matter that you did not raise at the court of first instance, you now raise it on appeal. The court can look at it. But when it comes to issue of tribunal and presidential election, governorship election, House of Rep or governorship election, a matter that you did not raise in your petition initially, if you raise it on appeal, the court will dismiss it.
Anyway,
we are still going to see it, and we are still going to come back here to come and discuss.
Are you trying to preempt? Are you trying to preempt us now that the Supreme Court may dismiss?
I'm just saying what the law says. If the issue of the Chicago, I'm not defending Tinubu. I'm not defending anybody. Anybody who has committed any offense, I believe that the person should be brought to book, and those who want to bring the person to book to follow the process of bringing somebody to book in line with our law.
Okay.
But I insist that if the issue of the Chicago was not part of the pleadings at the Court of Appeal during the tribunal, and the matter is now being raised on appeal in the Supreme Court will dismiss it because the Supreme Court lacks jurisdiction to entertain any new issue that is being raised that was not raised when the petition was filed before court.
Anyway,
that's the position of the law.
And
we are going to see it, and I plead with you that when the Supreme Court has decided this case on this matter of the Chicago issue, you call me back here with my co-discussor, my brother and my friend, Nowita Boakai. You call us back here. Then lastly, on the issue of transparency in an election.
On the issue of comparing Nigeria and Liberia now.
Election is local. If I become president of this country, I'm governor of my state, on election day, I go to my village and my polling unit to go and vote there. And all political parties are expected to bring their agent to the polling unit. Whether result is transmitted or not, I'm not saying result should not be transmitted electronically, but the first result that is authentic is the result from ECAT, which all political party agents will sign, the police will sign, and every party will have it. Now, if you have that result, that is the result that should be transmitted. And when we are now going to court to say, oh, where the result of our election was manipulated, in our polling unit, this was the result. What was uploaded is different.
Yeah, but not in the case whereby you have the form ECAT, like what you are claiming now.
Yes,
some are allegedly to be mutilated. Some of the figures
mutilated.
Wait, my brother.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This is law matter. If a result is mutilated, how do you prove it? How do you prove that result is mutilated?
You tender a result, and the person you claim to have signed that result tells you that, hey, that was not what I signed.
If a result is mutilated, and it is my polling unit.
Figures are mutilated.
Yes.
When figures are mutilated.
If the result that is before me is mutilated, and the result before you, the same result that we have on polling unit is mutilated, then, and we accept the result, without protesting to the relevant authorities that this result that was given to me was mutilated result, you accept the result. Then you now come back to tribunal to say this result was mutilated. Anyway, the tribunal will not place any.
In the case of the February 25, 2023 presidential elections, the opposition parties did not accept that result.
If they did not accept
the result was mutilated, the result was tampered with, and because INEC wanted to do some magic, they want to do some magic. That was why INEC resorted to manual counting.
So those results that were rejected.
Let us also, let us also not forget that even the Electoral Act.
Those who contested the election that said their polling unit results were mutilated, and they were agents in polling unit. What now stopped their political parties from bringing them to court to come and testify about the mutilation of the result in their unit? What stopped them?
Have you forgotten that when the presidential election petition tribunal in their judgment, you know that they dismiss some of the witnesses, about 12 or 14.
Why did they dismiss them?
Technicalities. We're in a country where constitutional provision have been turned upside down. Where political cabal.
It's not Nigeria matter that we came here to discuss.
But we are comparing some of the lessons.
We came to discuss
Liberia.
But since you have decided to go into Nigeria aspect of it, I want to let you know that it is not on the basis of emotion.
It's not emotion. I'm speaking fact. I'm from the civil society.
The electoral process in Nigeria is guided by rules and is guided by facts.
Okay. All right. So we want to say very big thank
by virtue of February 25, 2022 presidential election, INEC did not follow the rules.
Well, that's your opinion now. Which I
That's my opinion. INEC deceived Nigerians.
Thank you so much for finding time to join us on the program. Please extend the handshake to.
It's my guy.
Now, the facts about Liberia's election is that Judge Weah had, he has a running mate, Joel Taylor, of Coalition for Democratic Change, now seated as a party, while the closest rival, Joseph Boakai, known as Sleeping Joe, had Jeremiah Gwang now of the United Unity Party. That's the two parties that are neck to neck as far as the election is concerned. Now, we want to emphasize here that when we invite our guests, whatever they say, whether because they made reference to the Chicago Gate, Tinubu's issue and all that, whatever they say is entirely their own opinion. It has nothing to do with ITV, Independent Radio and Television. As a matter of fact, we do not have any opinion on these issues. We give you the opportunity to come so that you can also ventilate your mindset as far as the issues are concerned. So you may be the next person that we're going to call so that you come and you tell us how you feel about the issues going on in the country. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you one more time. So please let us exercise patience to wait for the final results of Tuesday's election in Liberia. And for those saying that somebody has won and somebody has lost out of the election, please let us wait until the final result is announced in Monrovia in Liberia. My name is Evan Sunohuge. Thank you so much. Goodbye and God bless you.